problem arises. Why people don't understand this Panchakarma? Because the Vata Pitta Kapha and the anti-Vata Pitta Kapha drugs and herbs is not clear to the public. Because of that, that is not usable. Only the part of oleation, fermentation with herbs, putting oil on the body, this thing happens. Now I come to a very important, interesting point. It is called Shirodhara. Put oil on the head. I went to Kerala, South India. I asked the people there, why you put this oil on the head? A Japanese came to my father. She was mentally very violent. She got cured through Shirodhara. And with the medicine also, but Shirodhara played the role. I was attached to the hospital. One patient of my father was admitted here. She had hemiplegia. One day she said, "Doctor, come. My lips is becoming normal, and suddenly the spasm of my hand becomes free." Then I started thinking how this is possible. What is the scientific analogy? In acupuncture, we know that in polio case, I did a polio case. It worked wonderful. A small child. They say there are dormant cells. After you have paralysis or polio, there are some dormant cells around. If you can reactivate, revive them, the power comes. I did for 6 months. This child, unable to move like this leg, he stood. By sitting, he should run like this. But I could not do on the back. Similar thing happens here. This is the only technique in the world which Western science do not have. If you put oil for half an hour, heated oil, we pour cold one also. Those who have high blood pressure, we put cold with milk and other thing. And those who have hot, heat is a vatahara, is anti-vata, anti-tension. You put for half an hour. What happens? This is the vascular area. Because of the vascular area, the vasodilatation in the brain takes place. More nourishment, more oxygen, those dormant cells become reactivated and you get relief. And it is an excellent therapy for people with stress. If Shirodhara is taken for 7 to 10 days, they get excellent result. Along with that, if you give this Ayurvedic herbs, those are very good for nervous system, like Brahmi, Shankapuspi, Jatamansi, Ashwagandha, Satavari. If you give them, it takes time. You get result after 2 or 3 months, but memory and other things improve like anything. Along with that, if you give this relaxation, meditational exercise, short relaxation with Shirodhara and Ayurvedic herb, you get excellent result in stress and insomnia.
What kind of oil do you use? What kind of oil?
We give medicated oil, but you could put any oil. Any oil. People say this medicine has a special effect. No, oil itself is a vata, anti-stress.
You said 7 days,
once
a day?
Even if you try, my concept says, if you have stress, not high blood pressure. If you have high blood pressure, then heat is negative. You take a cloth, heat it, and put on the head, keep it for, change it and keep it, which is tolerable, not very high. You will have relief from stress.
Excuse me? The oil dropping?
They drop on the container is there, they drop on the head. You can take a bowl, you make a hole, put oil in that, you put it like this on the head for half an hour. One person heats it and puts it there. It goes down in a bowl, from there it's taken, heated again and put again for half an hour.
You said 7 days, once a day?
7 to 10 days it is done.
Once per day?
Per day for half an hour to 45 minutes.
Is there a better time of day than another?
Anytime, which is, in summer it is better to in the early morning. Hello. I'm speaking, there's a process, on the forehead. And this heat, this thing came down and he was better. But this doctor, next time when he came, he put oil, heated oil, and he became upset. Even in Kerala, one minister died because he had high blood pressure and this hot oil was used on the head and blessed. Many people do not know when to use heat, when to use cold. Don't try yourself, because without knowing the knowledge, having the knowledge, don't experiment it. Now, therapeutic. There are many herbs. They will do wonder. In Ayurveda, we find best medicine, neurological or nerve tonic are available in Ayurveda. Best medicines are available for sex and for old age to rejuvenate and to improve the function of sexual activity. And they tone up in 2-3 months' time, and it is not like Viagra, which affects Ayurveda health. It is, for old people it is good. They don't shatter the biorhythm. For old people it is safe. It takes time, it rejuvenates the body, but doesn't harm. For diabetes, when you give Ayurvedic drugs along the allopathic medicines, they do very good. There are quite a number of them, and if I mention the Indian name, it will be difficult for you. If I tell Latin name, even then it will be difficult for you. And now I have covered 1 hour, and it's too much for you. If you have any query, it is best I can give you my card, through internet, you can speak, I'll give you reply. Anything still in your heart says, I'm not happy with the lecture, or if you say, I have many things to ask, you can ask me through internet. Okay.
Thank you.
Working out the way that they frequently do. But your maturity and patience and general positive regard is noticed and appreciated by us both. It's well and good for us to have our own understanding and to have our own relationship with it, but we do care a great deal about you all and pleasantly and happily notice when your growth reflects in your general ease and acceptance that this is the way that things have to be sometimes. It certainly isn't because we do anything to encourage it. I think that while saying things on a personal level, I'd also like to mention that Ashana has not been well since the early afternoon yesterday and got progressively less and less well. And I think you should know that in spite of that, she took a couple of hours nap and got up at 1 a.m. and has been working ever since. She got progressively less well during the course of the morning, to the point where I had to consider whether or not it was most advisable to suggest that we withdrew any commitment to presenting any more material today. That's how it was. And since we both tend to prefer to self-heal wherever we can and don't use chemicals, I finally persuaded her to allow one of our dear friends to come and have a look at her and see whether or not there was some chemical thing that would assist her. And that did happen, and it did provide a degree of assistance. She's feeling a little bit better, well enough to come across and speak to us all for maybe the last half an hour. So with those things said, we'll just wait for Robert to get back. I found that by using page up, page down, I can actually move around the screen, but it won't give me the fine control that I might need sometimes. What we're going to do this evening is we're going to perform the KETHRADON Awakening technique number 2. I prefer to leave it to Ash to talk about that when she comes, about her perception. I mean, mine is developed enough, but her perception is even finer about what it is they're giving us to work with. And although I think most people know that the current material is stuff that was previously thought not necessary until closer to 2012, that has started to be presented now because of the general situation, the scenario that we're involved in. But this, the first of the KETHRADON techniques was simply a prelude to something quite extraordinary, actually, as you'll discover. There is a brief piece of grid work that will complete our collective grid work efforts before anybody leaves. And there is also a simple instruction and a time in which the people who are leaving this evening or tomorrow will be able to actually connect with us in Goa at the final completion of the work involving this starburst cycle. All right. You will have hard copies of these things before you go tonight. Curry, bless him, is working his butt off to get them done. You will have hard copies of all the information that's been presented so that you can read it and study at home in your own leisure. Just a second, I'll plug this in. Just quickly take a lotus double arc breath from above and below, chakra 14 and earth core. Breathe it into the Azure. On inhale, pause briefly. Push the breath down to the heart center. Split the breath at that point. Push the breath down the arm cords, into the fingertips. Assume the lotus finger position. Next inhale, bring the fingertips to the Azure. Well, the thyroid actually. Okay. In your own time, do 24 taps. And exhale when you've completed that. Just take one more double arc breath. Exhale. See the spark rise up to the pineal. Bring your fingers up to the pineal. Inhale, double lotus arc breath. Exhale. Inhale, 24 tap, bass rhythm. Exhale. Bring your hands away from the third eye. And from that point we can go straight to formation of the lotus phase bud cell, the Adondra 360 generator. So at this point, recall the image of your personal 6-foot diameter Akushate crystal and Adondra 360 flame around your body. Recall the image of your personal 6-foot diameter Akusha crystal and Adondra 360 flame around your body, and mentally repeat 3 times, I am Adondra 360.
I am Adondra 360. I am Adondra 360. I am Adondra 360.
With the lotus touch hands and flame of Ra activated, place the lotus touch fingertips of both hands at the Azure and inhale a 48-petal double arc ethos pillar Adondra flame lotus breath up from the chakra 13 earth core up to the Azure. Hold the inhale breath for a moment while using both lotus touch hands to quickly and firmly run a 24 tap code into the Azure at the base of the thymus gland. When the tap code is complete, place the activated lotus touch hands back in the praying hands position, this time in front of the navel, extending down toward the Iyombi as far as you comfortably can, with the praying hands position in front of the navel and Iyombi. Release a 2-point exhale breath firmly from the Azare, directing one part of the breath to form a pale emerald green cord extending horizontally outward from the Azare to a point directly in front of the Azare on the inside surface of the Ekusha crystal, all around you. Direct the second part of the breath, pale emerald green cord extending vertically downward from the Azare to the Mahadra earth core. And just intend that you're doing that now. As the breath releases, the magnetic orbs at the lotus touch fingertips will release a pale aquamarine Adondra flame blue spark into the Iyombi as the vertical cord passes the Iyombi point on its way to the Mahadra in earth core. Hold the breath in earth core at the bottom of the exhale for a moment and observe that a small pale aquamarine miniature Adondra flame replica spontaneously appears within your Azare as you hold the exhale breath at earth core. Bring the lotus touch fingertips of both hands up from the navel region and once again place them in the praying hand position in front of the Azare while drawing a slow, steady inhale vertically up from the earth core and into chakra 14, 36 inches above the head. Hold this breath at chakra 14 at the top of the inhale until you intend or observe that the monadic orbs at the lotus touch fingertips first release a brilliant pale emerald green, pale silver spark, then a blended pale silver gold, pale silver violet spark into the pale aquamarine miniature Adondra flame replica stationed within the Azare. When you observe the release of the two monadic orbs into the Azare, quickly switch hand positions, placing your right electrical hand palm down over your Azare, right hand palm down over the Azare, with your left hand palm down over the back of your right hand. As soon as your hands are in position, exhale forcefully from chakra 14 down, directing the breath into the miniature Adondra flame replica at the Azare. Sense a feeling of gentle warmth or fuzziness growing beneath your right palm as the exhale breath brings the Adondra 360 living light lotus phase bud cell to life within the miniature Adondra flame replica in the Azare. When you're ready, release your hands gently to a resting position and hold the exhale breath for a moment at the Azare. Then resume gentle automatic double arc ethos pillar Adondra flame lotus breathing for the remainder of this technique. Now, with your mental attention focused upon the miniature Adondra flame replica in the Azare, intend or observe with your inner vision that the pale emerald green, pale silver spark and the blended pale silver gold, pale silver violet spark from the monadic orbs in step 4 have now interacted with the miniature Adondra flame replica in the Azare and have together formed 3 spheres in a Tribeca formation within the miniature Adondra flame replica. The singular top sphere of the Tribeca lotus phase bud cell is a pale emerald green with a pale silver interior Amareya flame unit. The sphere on your left side is a pale silver violet L'Adore flame unit, and the sphere on your right side is a pale silver gold L'Ettore flame unit. Together, the 3 spheres of the Tribeca within the miniature Adondra flame replica at the Azare form a living light cell generator called a lotus phase bud cell, which is capable of continual generation of natural crystic Adondra 360 radiation spark units, through which powerful Akasha-level heliotalic Adondra 360 God seed spark pulse currents can be generated for healing, manifestation, and Templar gridwork applications. We now move on to part B, phasing the lotus phase bud cell to activate God seed spark pulse current flow. Now continue gentle automatic double arc ethos pillar Adondra flame lotus breathing, keeping your mental attention upon the Tribeca formation lotus phase bud cell within the miniature Adondra flame replica in the Azare. Now, without consciously altering the rhythm of the natural lotus breath breathing, intend that a minute, pale aquamarine spark leaps from your 6-foot diameter Adondra flame as it rises upwards on the inhale, and that this minute spark of Adondra leaps directly into the center area of the lotus phase bud cell Tribeca formation and is drawn into the lotus phase bud cell at the creation point, center point of the top of the pale emerald sphere. And I'll read this again because it's important. So just continue gentle automatic double arc ethos pillar Adondra flame lotus breathing, keeping your mental attention on the Tribeca formation within the miniature Adondra flame replica in the azure. Without changing your breathing rhythm at all, just intend that a minute pale aquamarine spark leaps from your 6-foot diameter Adondra flame as it rises upwards on the inhale, and that this minute spark of Adondra leaps directly into the center area of the lotus phase bud cell Tribeca formation and is drawn into the lotus phase bud cell at the creation point, center point of the top pale emerald sphere. Now continue gentle lotus breathing and intend that as soon as the spark of Adondra enters the creation point of the top pale emerald sphere, the 3 spheres of the lotus phase bud cell begin to phase with the pale silver violet L'Adore flame unit, that's the one on your left, and the pale silver gold L'Ettore flame, the one on your right, each simultaneously rotating towards each other along the vertical center line, 0 point line of the still point pale emerald green top sphere. Observe that as the 2 left and right spheres meet and merge along the central 0 point line, a pale silver aquamarine spark forms in their common center. Continue gentle breathing and observe that a moment after the pale silver aquamarine spark forms, it suddenly explodes in gentle slow motion, turning into a pale aquamarine starburst whose radiant shimmering light fills the miniature Adondra flame replica in the azure. I'll repeat that one again so that you're all comfortable with it. So just continue gentle lotus breathing. Observe, but if you can't see that clearly, just intend and say to yourself, as soon as the spark of Adondra enters the creation point of the top pale emerald sphere, the 3 spheres of the lotus phase bud cell begin to phase with this pale silver violet L'Adore flame unit on your left, the pale silver gold L'Ettore flame on your right, each simultaneously rotate towards each other along the vertical center line of the still point pale emerald green top sphere. Observe as the 2 left and right spheres meet and merge along the central 0 point line, a pale silver aquamarine spark forms in their common center. Just continue to breathe gently and observe that a moment after the pale silver aquamarine spark forms, it suddenly explodes in gentle slow motion, turning into a pale aquamarine starburst whose radiant shimmering light fills the miniature Adondra flame replica in the azure. Now continue with your gentle breathing pattern, and now observe or intend, say to yourself, that a moment after the pale aquamarine starburst emerges from the lotus phase bud cell into the miniature Adondra flame replica, its brilliant radiance next mellows to a gentle pale aquamarine glow. Observe or intend that within this pale aquamarine glow in the miniature Adondra flame replica at the azure, you can now distinctly see or feel the form of a perfect pale aquamarine 6-petal lotus arc set. Its central point is deep within the center creation point of the lotus phase bud cell, with its 6 delicate pale aquamarine arc petals extending outward through the Tribeca formation of the lotus phase bud cell and into the surrounding miniature Adondra flame replica. Your lotus phase bud cell is now ready to initiate phasing for perpetual motion production of Adondra 360 spark sets. Now focus your mental attention as clearly as you can upon your natural lotus breath breathing rhythm. As you do this, keep in mind the tiny pale aquamarine 6-petal lotus arc set, now stationed within your lotus phase bud cell in the miniature Adondra frame replica in the azure. Now next we're going to draw in a long, slow, single-point inhale breath upward from the earth core, all the way to chakra 14, 36 inches above the head. Hold the inhale breath at chakra 14 for a moment at the top of the inhale and quickly check that your ethos pillar and large Adondra flame are in the inhale up position and that your large identity rama lotus arc petals are also in the up closed position. Once you're comfortable that your simultaneous inhale up positions are as they need to be, prepare to exhale the phasing activator breath that will bring the tiny pale aquamarine 6-petal lotus arc set of your lotus phase bud cell at the azure into eternal life Adondra spark generation. Exhale a single point breath forcefully downward from chakra 14 directly into the center of your lotus phase bud cell at the azure, emptying the lungs completely and directing the entire quantum of the breath into the central creation point of the lotus phase bud cell. Now if you want to, now you know that you need to empty your lungs completely, directing the entire quantum of the breath energy into the central creation point. We can do that over just quickly. So just take the breath in and hold it. Build charge a little bit and wait as you will shortly forcefully exhale downward from chakra 14. The breath comes from there directly into the center of your lotus phase bud cell at the azure. Empty the lungs completely and direct the entire quantum of the breath energy into the central creation point at the lotus phase bud cell in the azure. So go. Hold the exhale breath at the lotus phase bud cell at the bottom of the exhale for a moment and observe or intend that you can now see or feel that the tiny 6-petal lotus arc set of the lotus phase bud cell has now begun to phase of its own volition, its tiny arc petals phasing upward into the arc's closed position and then downward into the arc's open to 45-degree spread position. Allow the tiny lotus phase bud arc set to rapidly phase 3 times before drawing the next inhale breath. Once you have observed, intended that tiny lotus phase bud arc set has phased open and closed 3 times, return to gentle, automatic double arc ethos pillar Adondra flame lotus breathing, drawing a slow inhale breath upward from the Mahadra at earth core to chakra 14. And while you are drawing the inhale breath upward, intend or visualize that the tiny lotus phase bud arc set within your azure now synchronizes its phasing rhythm with the larger Rana density arc set, both arc sets moving through open and closed position together and in opposite movement to the larger Shanate arc set. Your lotus phase bud cell will now continually and automatically phase with your natural double arc ethos pillar Adondra flame lotus breathing cycle. Each time your lotus phase bud arc set phases, it generates a set of 12 replicate micro arc sparks, each micro spark carrying the image and action of its source. Each microspark is a micro Tribeca cell with its own phasing 6-petal arc set. Let's breathe easy for a moment. Continue breathing easy with a double arc ethos pillar, Adondra flame breathing. And we'll move on in a second or two to the third stage, which is generating and directing the heliotalic Akasha Godseed spark pulse current, otherwise understood as activating the 2 starburst breaths of the God seed. So Now that your lotus phase bud cell has begun self-sustained phasing and spark set generation, you can build the replicate micro-arc spark 12 sets into a powerful Akasha God-seed spark pulse current in 2 easy starburst breaths. On starburst breath 1, inhale a pale emerald green spark upward from the Mahadra at earth core and into the lotus phase bud cell at the Azare. Hold this inhale for a moment at the Azare and observe the first replicate micro-arc spark 12 set emerge from the lotus phase bud cell. I'll repeat that. Now that your lotus phase bud cell has begun self-sustained phasing and spark set generation, you can build the replicate micro-arc spark 12 sets into a powerful Akasha God-seed spark pulse current in 2 easy starburst breaths. On the first starburst breath, inhale a pale emerald green spark upward from the Mahadra at earth core and into the lotus phase bud cell at the Azare. Hold the inhale for a moment at the Azare and observe the first replicate micro-arc spark 12 set emerge from the lotus phase bud cell. Next, we'll use a forceful starburst breath exhale, a starburst breath 1 exhale, to push the entire replicate micro-arc spark 12 set downward into the Mahadra at earth core. Then as the replicate micro-arc spark 12 set enters the earth core, rapidly and forcefully engage starburst breath 2 inhale, drawing the replicate micro-arc spark 12 set back up into the lotus phase bud cell. Hold this breath, this inhale breath 2, at the lotus phase bud cell for as long as you comfortably can to build charge. And then, when you must release, use a forceful starburst breath, exhale number 2, sending a pale aquamarine adondra spark from the Azare downward into the Ra center at chakra 3. When this spark intercepts the Ra center, the lotus phase bud cell in the Azare begins emitting a constant flow of blended, pale aquamarine, pale pastel heliotalic Akasha God-seed current that emerges out from the center of the lotus phase bud cell and into the small adondra flame replica containment vessel in the Azare. As you breathe normally, the small adondra flame replica containment vessel in the Azare continually fills with Akasha God-seed current until it reaches full capacity, at which time the lotus phase bud cell will stop phasing until this abundance of Akasha current is utilized by your own multidimensional anatomy or is consciously directed by you for healing, manifestation, or Templar grid work purposes. If you consciously engage the 2 starburst breaths of the God seed, preceded by the rapid access lotus touch flame of Ra activation in full, as is shown in technique 1, which you will have before you leave. You need do this only 2 times per day, one in the morning upon waking, and again before your final evening sleep. Under these circumstances, the lotus phase bud cell will automatically resume phasing and Akasha God-seed current production as soon as the adondra flame replica containment vessel falls below its full capacity energy holding. Just breathe easy for a while now. Okay, I'm just reading the notes on tonight's grid work, which you've just done. But I think just for fun, we'll actually go back with the awareness and do it. It just requires us to use these new starburst breathing techniques, which are immensely powerful, as you probably gather from how they're described. The essence of the notes for tonight's grid work, day 10, the planetary KETHRADON awakening, activating the planetary Adondra 360 flame, is what day 10 is about. Resolving the damaged planetary KETHRADON cell, commencing activation with that via remote lotus phase bud infusions into the planetary Akusha Te hub Rama Passage doorway at the Taj Mahal in preparation for day 13 of the day 13 starburst point, and the rebirth, and that's the rebirth moment and activation of Earth's new crystalline planetary KETHRADON cell. The Phoenix, Arizona Arc 7 planetary Akusha hub Yana's host shield also initiates activation in preparation for day 13, when the Phoenix Arc 7 shield goes online. That's a result of a Yana's host shield interface with the Rod of Rama and the Temple of Rama beneath the Taj Mahal to serve as the planetary Akusha Rama Passage doorway, host hub, and the planetary Akusha complex and Rama Passage primary accelerator seat control shield for the remainder of the entire planetary starburst response period. Now, by simply breathing, and you might breathe this time with the Taj temple in which we opened the doorway. You can remember that, even if vaguely. Just bring the Taj itself to mind. If you can't get an image of the interior of the actual temple we were working in, that won't matter. But a picture of the Taj in your mind will, all right? And this is so powerful that all you actually have to do is to hold that image in your mind whilst you just do one complete round of the starburst breaths, all right? So either visualize or intend the Taj, call to mind something of the outcome or the purpose of why we're going to do this now, which I've just read to you, which is commencing the activation of the planetary KETHRADON cell, assisting Phoenix Arc 7, Akusha hub, Yana's host shield to initiate activation in preparation for day 13 when Arc 7 shield goes online. So, I'll just read the step for you again. So inhale a pale emerald green spark upward from the Mahadrat earth core with the Taj image in mind and the purpose of our breathing in mind. Bring that into the lotus phase bud cell at the Azure and hold this inhale for a moment at the Azure and observe the first replicate micro-arc spark 12 set emerge from the lotus phase bud cell. Next, use a forceful starburst exhale to push the replicate micro-arc spark 12 set down into the Mahadrat earth core. As the replicate spark set enters the Mahadra, rapidly and forcefully engage starburst inhale breath 2, drawing the micro-arc spark 12 set back up into the lotus phase bud cell. Hold the starburst breath 2, inhale at the lotus phase bud cell for as long as you comfortably can to build charge. And when you must release or you feel you need to release it, then use a forceful starburst 2 exhale breath, sending a pale aquamarine Adondra spark from the Azure downward into the Ra center at chakra 3. When the spark intercepts the Ra center, the lotus phase bud cell in the Azure begins emitting a constant flow of blended pale aquamarine, pale pastel, heliotalic Akasha God seed current that emerges out from the center of the lotus phase bud cell and into the small Adondra flame replica containment vessel in the Azure. This now fills with Akasha God seed current until it reaches full capacity. And at this stage, with nothing more than a reiteration of your mental intention from a Christic perspective for the benefit of all life everywhere, you can inhale and then forcefully exhale and direct the Akasha God seed current to its desired destination. Good. As soon as you completed that exhale, then just breathe easily. I won't spend time since it's short, but I will just point out to you that in the copies of this technique which you'll be given, it contains, at the end of the sequence, the technique sequence, it contains the instructions you need and the explanation you will need if you're inclined to participate with us, to link with us in Goa on day 13 during the time, universal time, anywhere you are, same time, 9 p.m. through till midnight on Wednesday, February 2nd, 2005. Fundamentally reclaiming the rod of Eka. But there's a bunch of other detail that you can read for yourselves in your own time. I won't spend another 10 minutes reading it to you now. You can do that later. So for everyone that won't be with us in Goa, you will be in a manner of speaking. Now, we've discussed this. Ash is going to be with us quite shortly, I hope, and she's going to deal with a whole bunch of stuff as quickly as she can in a summary form. Some of that will involve things that you've not heard about, not in the way that it's coming together. There is still material you haven't heard anything about. So we together decided the most helpful thing to do would be if I were to read this to you quite quickly. It's only about 5 pages of it, so that then at least you will have, at least your shields will have some recognition of some of the expressions Ash uses when she tries to summarize what she needs to say to tie this all together before you go. So I'll get on with that, and I'll do it briskly, but not so quickly that there's hardly any point in doing it. This is transmission 6 from AOD of the Adonai Council. It began on Friday, Jan 28, and has been developing all through even today. It's entitled Preparation for Eka-Veka Ascension. It concerns the Taj Master event, the planetary Akusha memory crystal reseeding, and the rebirth of the crystal body. The Taj Mahal, so it reads as follows: the Taj Mahal record restoration, Akusha memory crystal reseeding, is a one-time only Veka Pillar 13 master event. Our Cloister Emerald Order Group facilitated download of the organic Akashic Hall of Records, that's from planetary to universal Eka parallel Eka level, memory matrix and the time wave codes from the Akasha, Akusha memory crystal, into Earth's planetary Akusha-Te complex central hub, that's the Taj Mahal site, for automatic crystal re-encryption reset of Earth's natural planetary monadic time codes, Teliosphere program and history records during day 13 starburst point. Akusha memory crystal reseeding will enable the remaining viable portions of Earth's 15-dimensional planetary shields and crystal body to anchor Akasha A, Akasha, Eka parallel Eka, trans Akasha time waves via the Polarian matrix gate system. During Veka Pillar 13, day 13 starburst point, the reseeded planetary Akusha memory crystal will automatically reset the original Christic Polarian Gaian Orion code of the Kethas, also known as the Rama code, to restore the severely damaged planetary KETHRADON photo flame cell, density 3 Ketheric template, and their corresponding density 1 subharmonics, allowing for a full activation of Earth's KETHRADON cell Ketheric capsule, which will initiate activation of Earth's organic planetary Akusha-Te complex trans-Akasha doorway system, and an opening of Earth's connection to the trans-Eka Rama passage. Planetary Akusha memory crystal reseeding reinstates within the planetary crystal body and shields the original first creation code of the Akasha God seed, from which this Eka-Veka and this planet originally emerged into density manifestation. Akusha memory crystal reseeding, you all right? And resultant restoration of the planetary Akashic Hall of Records will re-establish the organic crystal body connections between the planetary, solar, galactic, metagalactic, universal, Ekaveka, parallel Ekaveka, and Akashic crystal bodies, enabling the remaining viable portions of Earth's 15-dimensional crystal body anatomy to be salvaged and rapidly reassembled, one dimension at a time, to form a crystic new planetary crystal body structure, as the original planetary crystal body and etheric atomic blueprints dismantle or self-annihilate. This is all due to the Polarian matrix host link connection. The reverse polarity spin Kelon fragments then reassemble upon the anticrystic metatronic code encryption, which are held in the planetary section shield core crystal implant in Earth's core. Now, the progression to Ekaveka ascension. The Veka pillar starburst cycle progression, the 2013 acceleration point, the 2015 Rama passage transit, and the 2017 Diamond Sun L'Edore evac leap. As the Polarian-hosted new dimensional crystal body is born, the critically damaged original planetary crystal body corresponding to the Veka pillar number falls to tandem Merkaba metatronic magnetic reversal during the dimensional progression of the red pulse starburst sequence. Each of the two-dimensional crystal bodies adopt the base pulse rhythm of their respective ascending and descending time wave, and each phase bond to co-resonant portions of the etheric body and dimensional shield for the next dimension up. After each Veka pillar starburst cycle, the ascending Polarian and descending Metatronic dimensional crystal bodies enter co-resonant phase bond with portions of the crystal body from the next dimension up, and progressively split the next dimension up crystal body into the two opposing counter-rotating time waves during the next Veka pillar starburst cycle. Upon each Veka pillar starburst point, the ascending wave, new Polarian dimensional crystal body, will continue its upwards counterclockwise swing through the Akasha base shield, and the descending wave, old, now reversed Metatronic dimensional crystal body, reverse spin, spins clockwise into a reciprocal downward sweep in the Akasha base shield, pulling away from the ascending Polarian dimensional crystal body. Veka pillars 1 through 9 will engage their respective starburst cycles sequentially, one each year, on the May 27th Itharo anniversary, beginning this year, 2005, through to 2013. Veka pillars 10 through 12 will all engage their cycles in rapid sequence in May 2014. As each Veka pillar starburst progressively splits each corresponding dimensional field into opposite moving time waves, the ascending crystal body reaches an acceleration point in 2013 prior to the 2014 final starburst stage, because the descending 9-dimensional, that's not accreted D10 through 12 yet, the descending 9-dimensional Metatronic crystal body comes into direct alignment with the Buddhara black hole and falls, causing the electromagnetic tension bond between the ascending and descending time waves to rapidly snap and release, freeing the ascending time wave and its 9-dimension of accreted new crystal body from the tension bond drag field, and in that way allowing the ascending time wave to accelerate. In May 2014, Veka pillar starbursts 10, 11, 12 complete, and the new 12-dimensional Earth enters phase bond with the Eka D13 primal light field. In May 2015, the final starburst phase of Eka pillar 13 completes, and the salvaged portions of this Veka and Earth pass into, that's the salvaged portions of this Veka and the salvaged portion of Earth, pass into the Rama passage gate system in their new 13-dimensional crystal body. Between 2015 and 2017, Earth completes the final 45-degree shift of the starburst 90 shift within the Rama passage Polarian host zone, arriving at its Eka 0 point alignment in December 2017, at which time Earth's new rebirthed diamond sun chariot of fire crystal body activates. This draws the salvaged Veka and Earth through the final 180-degree magnetic pole reversal to pass through the Kemelohatiya ecocenter flame Kruksensata window into the new probability timeline within the heroic probability of the parallel Lu'edore Akasha Eka Veka system, and in this way fulfilling the trans-Akasha probability mainline evac leap to the parallel Akasha Eka Veka Lu'edore system, which is the primary core objective of the Polarian hosted starburst response mission. And they're now talking to us here about the processes of the Eka Veka ascension, the role of the starburst response, monadic reversal and rebirth, the Polarian host, and the mass evac waves. As the process inherent to each Veka pillar starburst cycle unfolds, the original Veka monad harmonic flame corresponding to the Veka pillar number will reverse, compact, and implode via annihilation with its twin, and simultaneously the new Veka monad harmonic flame and its Veka flame runner will reset in both this Eka Veka and in the parallel Eka Veka. Each reset will shift the corresponding new Veka pillar and monadic harmonic flame in this Veka and in the parallel Eka Veka back to the spin axis alignment of their original mutual creation point at the Eka 0 point line. This is a much longer counterclockwise shift than that previously intended in the Hetero-Hethalon reset mission, which would have taken part to come back only to alignment with the Akasha center line by 2012. The starburst response adds a continuing additional 90-degree counterclockwise shift from the 2012 alignment, spanning 2012 through 2017. This relates to the shift map of Forbidden Testaments of Revelations workshop, by the way. During this additional 90-degree counterclockwise shift period. This is called the starburst plus 90 shift. The Akasha A 12-pillar set anchors in the new Eka Veka to put the new Eka Veka monads, shields, and Rushete online with the Akasha Ea level. At the 2017 end of this starburst 90 shift, the new Veka system will reach axis alignment with its original Eka 0 point creation point, at which time it will engage rapid pole and spin reversal for transfer into the cycle 1 position of the parallel Eka Veka clockwise expansion Veka particum cycle, the original creation point from which this Veka system emerged before its 950 plus billion years ago entry into this Eka system. During the Jan 2005 May 2015 Veka pillar reset and starburst response, the Polarian matrix gate set will allow the Veka pillar shields of this Veka, those of the parallel Eka Veka, the arc gates, star gates, Q-sites and Trinity gates on both sides to merge as the corresponding Veka pillar starbursts. These gate shields, merged through the Polarian matrix interface gate shields, will collectively be able to hold the temporary infusion of an Akasha level pillar. This means that areas of the solar planetary tribal shields that can link into the Polarian matrix and most require at least temporary Adonai Trinity Gate host link to receive this Polarian matrix buffer. But anyway, the areas of solar planetary tribal shields that can link into the Polarian matrix will be at least partly buffered by the Polarian gate electromagnetic fields from the full thrust of dimensional starburst and its implied corresponding red pulse. All will experience starburst, including the pre-starburst point red pulse phase, but some grids, buffered by the Polarian matrix fields, will be able to phase lock into axis alignment with the Polarian shields and receive re-encryption of the base 12 subharmonic crystal code before the red pulse atomic crystal compaction wave releases. If this crystal re-encryption can occur before each pillar enters its etheric red pulse sequence phase, which is the primary objective within the current endeavours of the Christus realignment mission, the Polarian gate shields will hold the spin axis of re-encrypted shield units in line with the new resetting Christic Vector monad, preventing polarity spin reversal of the shield units during the red pulse sequence. The Polarian gate shield spin axis alignment is called the Polarian anchor, which must be established prior to the dimensional shield unit polarity spin reversal that follows the red pulse atomic crystal compaction wave. That's the phase in the pillar-starburst cycle, and should ideally occur during the diffusion wave phase prior to initiation of the red pulse sequence. Achieving the Polarian anchor before the dimensional red pulse crystal compaction wave period will allow some the opportunity to instantaneously reset the portions of their original shield that can sustain a D3 base 12 subharmonic encryption when the later starburst point dimensional shield and crystal body phase occurs for that pillar. When a dimensional red pulse releases, the original dimensional shield and etheric crystal body of all, including those with Polarian anchor, will receive the red pulse, and all will undergo dimensional shield shatter, dimensional etheric crystal body implosion during the day 13 starburst point phase. The dimensional atomic body of all will go into suspension and next dimension up dimensional blend, but at the starburst point, the new dimensional monad moda adure will reset, along with the corresponding aspect of the Vector monad within the aspects of the dimensional shield carrying the Polarian anchor. Just after a dimensional starburst point occurs, all units of the starburst shield will align first with the axis of the dimension up etheric body. The units of the original dimensional shield that received the new crystal re-encryption and achieved Polarian shield spin axis alignment, that's before the red pulse atomic crystal compaction wave phase, the Polarian shield spin axis alignment will enter a progressive axis shift and phase lock into alignment with the new resetting natural Vector monad and dimensional moda adure, which resets simultaneously as the starburst point phase unfolds. Now, the crystal re-encryption, which is necessary to achieve the Polarian anchor anyway, the crystal re-encryption and the Polarian anchor will allow the suspended new crystal encrypted atomic units from the dimensional I'll do that again. The crystal re-encryption and the Polarian anchor will allow the suspended new crystal encrypted atomic units from the dimension below starburst shield and the corresponding units of the dimensional etheric body and shield of the dimension above, to which the crystal starburst units attach during the atomic suspension phase. This will align with the Polarian anchor to continue a natural particum counterclockwise axis rotation progression, and this will avert the reverse clockwise shift of the progression to Wesadak fall that will occur in grids not secured by the Polarian matrix. The processes of crystal re-encryption and Polarian anchor allow the unusual crystic potentiality for the crystal re-encrypted atomic units from the starburst shield below to bond and realign any remaining viable etheric units in the dimensional shield above. Crystal realigning of viable etheric units in the etheric body of the dimension above, the starburst dimension will cause automatic crystal realignment of their corresponding atomic units, thus building progressive immunity to red pulse etheric and atomic crystal compaction wave polarity reversal from the lowest dimensions upwards to the highest. I've still got about 3 pages to go. Do you want me to read it all? Yeah, okay. All right, that's fine. Yeah. For many grids, I told him, for many grids and life forms, this crystal re-encryption Polarian anchor process will give only a, quote, ray of hope, an only remaining option, other than the fall to which they are otherwise headed. Even crystal re-encryption may mean losing a significant amount of their already reversing shields, such as with the Germain Anu hosters, as only the units of the dimensional shield that have retained sufficient natural spin direction thrust to hold the hosted crystal D3 base 12 subharmonic encryption can be reset and reassembled into the new dimensional shield by the reset crystic dimensional monad, Moda Adure. The whole thing becomes a race against time. If a person has critical mass reversal in the D1 or D2 density 1 atomic elemental body, there may be insufficient thrust remaining in the D3 mental body to anchor a sufficient amount of D3 crystal encryption to, quotes, pull the emotional and physical bodies out of reversal, end quotes, before the corresponding dimension red pulse atomic crystal compaction wave and starburst. Once a dimension initiates the starburst red pulse sequence, the units of which that original dimensional shield were composed will phase lock first into their dominant spin direction. And here is the saving grace. Units. What? Here is the saving grace, yeah. Okay, units that were not reversed at the time of pre-starburst point red pulse can receive the crystal re-encryption via the Polarian shields, and this will allow them to retain their non-reverse spin when the rest of the units from the shield are pulled into phase lock reversal during the red pulse atomic crystal compaction wave initiation. This is the point at which at least a portion of the shield can be salvaged by the Polarian gate buffer, which will serve as a frequency beacon to which re-encrypted crystic units can align and phase lock their axes to prevent reversal phase lock. Units of the shattered shield do not have enough natural spin thrust left to hold the base 12 subharmonic encryption will be drawn into reversal during the red pulse atomic crystal compaction wave and into final 4. The crystal re-encryption Polarian Anchor Starburst mission will allow viable and non-viable portions of the dimensional shield to permanently separate and literally rotate away from each other on a temporarily co-joined center shield core point into opposing spin direction and axis alignment during red pulse crystal compaction wave phase. At the dimensional starburst point, the dimensional shield will shatter, permanently freeing the opposing units. The freed units will then reassemble by vibrational co-resonance, forming 2 progressively separating opposing electromagnetic waves or time waves. During the etheric and atomic suspension phases following the starburst point, the 2 waves will phase blend with the etheric body shield of the dimension above, each wave bonding to the vibrationally co-resonant units in the dimension above etheric and atomic bodies, drawing the next dimension up bodies into separation alignment before their red pulse atomic crystal compaction wave occurs at the starburst point of the dimension above. At the starburst point of the dimension above, the 2 opposing waves will again release and bond upward, each wave collecting its co-resonant units from each dimensional level as the dimensional starbursts continue upward. This will allow each wave and each evolutionary path to reaccrete a dimensional shield and crystal body structure. The new shield crystal body will start with January 2005 Vecapilla 13 starburst D13 primal light field, and the new crystal 12-dimensional Veca density crystal body will progressively assemble following the natural crystal encryption of the Polarian gate shields until the D10 through 12 density 4 aspects reaccrete through the May 2014 pillar 10 through 12 starbursts. Likewise, the reversed elements of each dimensional shield will also progressively reaccrete along their reversed clockwise wave to form a new reversed matrix shield and compacted reverse spin crystal body. This will allow both waves and their shields and crystal bodies to retain as much structural integrity as possible as the starburst cycle progresses. Some solar, planetary, tribal, and personal shield crystal body regions will have more reversals and template damage than others. Some regions of the Sun, solar system, planets, species, persons, and personal body regions for some will have too few remaining viable units within a specific dimensional aspect of their shield, etheric crystal body, atomic body, to anchor a sufficient amount of new crystal encryption in that dimension to achieve axis anchoring to the corresponding Polarian gate shield, which means they will be unable to prevent the red pulse atomic crystal compaction wave shield crystal body polarity reversal for that dimension. Such regions will be unable to generate the two opposing time waves in that dimension and will thus be drawn into alignment with the descending time wave when starbursts occurs for that dimension. Likewise, such single time wave regions will phase bond upward on their descending time wave, pulling any remaining viable units into the dimensional shield above into reversal and descending time wave alignment. We are telling you ANA 04 of this now, so that you will better understand and help others to better understand some of the things that will take place within your 2005-2009 primary time wave. If a grid, region, or a person, or parts of a person, has many remaining viable units within the higher dimensional shield's crystal body, but has critical mass compromise on one of the lower dimensions due to the organic mechanics of starburst response, the lower dimensional critical mass compromise will cause reversal of the higher dimensional aspects if the higher dimensional viable region remains attached to the lower dimensional compromised shield's crystal body. Thus, in master events such as starburst response, it is very common and quite essential for many regions and individuals and collectives to cut their lower dimensional losses, drop the lower dimensional body, and get out while they can. For example, a region with critical mass compromise on the D4 level, moderate trickle-down compromise on the D1, 2, 3 levels, but mostly viable template and crystal body on the D5 level and above, can still catch the ascending time wave if the density 1 consciousness can pull out of the density 1 matter form and receive host assistance to the D5 level. This approach is often selected by many forms of density 1 consciousness under circumstances such as Earth faces now with the starburst response. We are not talking about suicide here. Such evolutionary options of transition windows are arranged from the density 4 Christ avatar level, from that level down, as the density 1 consciousness cannot assess the intricate arrangements, energy anatomy management, and personal planetary time wave synchronization required to succeed at such an endeavor from the density 1 arena. Events such as suicide, planned by the 3D ego personality, most often interfere immensely with the positive evolutionary plan set by the Christ avatar self, which is always in operation behind the scenes. In planetary master events such as starburst response, there are literally mass evacuation waves, prearranged in cooperation and coordination with the planetary solar galactic universal consciousness that schedule such mass evac waves for specific groups and grids that require early departure in preparation for a specific dimensional starburst cycle. These kinds of evacs are arranged most often in the form of localized natural disasters. You have just witnessed such a scheduled mass evac wave with a December 26, 2004 level 9 quake and resultant tsunamis. As such things go, this was a rather small evac wave. The December 26, 2004 mass evac wave came literally just after the December 21-24 Polarian reunion, related events and opening of the D1 Polarian gate passage. Many of the souls of the and this occurred during the mid to late acceding 3 Atlantean periods. If these individuals did not drop the body and run before the Vecca Pillar 13 red pulse atomic crystal compaction wave began, they would have no chance whatsoever to pick up the Adonai host option, and for some to make the Wesadrak home return. The Wesadak Budhara descending time wave was the only other option, and the soul groups who chose to leave desperately desired to escape this fate, and did. All used the Polarian Gate 1 passage via a specially arranged Trinity Hub 6 Morocco Gate early partial opening, and this relates to our trip to Morocco in May 2005. Oh, it relates to our personal trip to Morocco in October 2004.
Yeah, that's why we had to go early.
I'm sorry about that. We are reminding you, ANA, of what you both already do know about such things, because the December 2604 Polarian mass evac wave is only the first in a series of 7, with 6 more, progressively larger, to come before 2014. At a later time, we will elaborate upon the 7 signs mentioned December 30, 2004. For the record, we will explain that Christic races do not create these events in terms of making earthquakes happen. This would be against Christic principles and protocol. The Earth itself decides when it has had enough in a specific region, and the progressive UIR bombardment of Earth's grids with reverse current pulse and external reverse tandem Merkaba technologies has stressed so many areas of Earth shields to the point of no return, such as was the case with the December 26, 2004 quake and its aftermath. But only Earth decides when and how she will release this stress in a certain region and manner. Christic races work with the Earth, honouring her choices. Sometimes this means not interfering when Earth requests our non-interference. At other times, we offer to assist Earth to heal and balance her stresses, or to find more gentle options within the heart of for the Christic good of all life everywhere. At other times, Earth asks us to assist before we have spotted the need to offer, and as always, we lovingly comply and assist in healing in whatever way we can. In terms of the December 2604 quake, Earth made this decision of stress release in reaction to the December 20-25, 2004 UIR pulsing activation of the 999 and Andromeda Arrow generator temples and their surrounding support matrices in the Indian Ocean. But the area in which this stress was to be released was negotiated between Earth and the specific soul groups who sought pre-January 05 evac Christic races of the Akasha levels on down, who sought pre-Jan 05 evac. Next. Christic races of the Akasha levels on down were brought into the negotiations because we had to agree to allow and help these host out groups to use the Polarian and Trinity gates, which they could not have accessed on their own. In the end, the Iani of Eka agreed to assist if Earth chose to manifest the event in the manner she had suggested. Earth did her thing, the host out soul groups did their thing, and all the Iani did was to secure temporary early opening of the small Trinity Hub 6 passage off the Moroccan coast that these soul groups would need to interface with the December opening Polarian Gate 1 passage. The host outs are now, as a collective, in D6 Trinity Hub 6, awaiting the respective hoster pickups and doing a rapid transition review before fully severing their Density 1 Earth connections. How much time's left before?
Better talk fast.
Huh? Right. So how long away is that? 1 hour? Yeah. So I mean,
people have to eat before they go, don't they?
well, they have the option of eating or listening. Well, no, we'll just press on anyway. Don't worry about it. So look, how long talk time is there left?
An hour and 10.
Absolutely, 1 hour 10.
I would do an hour, but we need to get downstairs, get their
I understand. So 1 hour, is that right? 1 hour.
Okay.
Squash it up.
That's why I start talking real fast.
There you go, babe.
Thank you for doing that.
No probs. I'm just going to shut this down. You want to come to my right? Or are you going to sit there?
I'll sit here. Hello, everybody. No, thank you. Sort of.
Thank you for your patience once again. It's been a heck of a 2 days between getting the transmissions in and also having a bit of the dilly belly syndrome. It's been a bit rough. Oy. But anyway, I think the most important thing that I would like to do with the short time that we do have is touch base on the most important things that I was planning on touching base on that I had on the schedules. As far as schedules, I surrender already. I give up. I mean, we try. We have good intentions. We do our best. But the transmissions come in at bizarre times. I mean, I've been up since about 4:30 this morning.
No, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock?
It was 1:30 when I got
In the morning?
Oh, yeah.
Was it really? I've been up since 1:30 this morning. Okay, I lose track of time. And I was able to pull together the paperwork that you've heard over the course of these workshops, because there was so much technical information in this stuff. It was hard to put it together and sequence it, even looking at it. You know, I can't imagine, like, you just get overwhelmed with technicals or your brain shuts off, so you can't really even remember anything that might have been significant in what in what you heard. So as far as I know, is it Curry? Hello over there.
Yes.
Is it working out good as far as the chart pack goes?
They've got it in minutes.
Really? You've all got your chart packs? I'm so glad. Because I worked hard on that, because I realized we weren't going to, because of the way the transmissions were going, they hadn't given me the technique until last, as usual. But I just, I knew it wasn't going to go the scheduled way. And I wanted to make sure you had that information with you. So at least you can read through it. And there's probably typos, because I didn't have time to proof. But at least you have a record of the technicals, because what's important about the particular part of the technicals that applies to the starburst dynamics is that sequence of things that will take place for each starburst cycle for each pillar. So we're going to go through 12 more of these between now and 2014. And I do believe they're going to get progressively more noticeable. Now, they haven't told me much yet about the seven-headed serpent grid that belongs to the Buddhara, but the temple complexes that we've been working with here are directly related to those. I don't know if they're one of the heads, but I suspect that the Andromeda Arrow temple that's under the Taj, and kind of in between where our Rama temple is and where the Taj is, there's a layer that doesn't belong there. It's a shield, an artificially contrived implant shield that is running the Buddhara wormhole setup. This is why I don't know if in the things that were read, because they threw these things in right at the end, where they were talking about what we're actually doing with these grids over here. We're not only opening the Rama passage, but we're also assisting them to anchor what's called the Janus host shield. The host shield is going to be an interface shield that allows the control center to be shifted from the main temple that was ours here, that was the Rama temple underneath where the Taj is, to be able to shift it and literally kind of like recircuiting around a bad set of wires back into the Phoenix grids of Arc 7. So the planetary Akusha hub is going to be moved from here over to Phoenix, where the grids are secured. And to do this, it requires an interface shield. And that interface shield they're referring to right now as the Janus host shield. And it's a host hub which will allow whatever the rather massive, I think, things that this particular set of temples under the Taj and the ones that are connected to it, the role they usually serve is quite extensive as far as controlling other gate systems and that kind of thing. So what we're going to be doing is assisting them to link the Janus host shield in, the hub host in. So these can be run now from the United States in Phoenix, because in Phoenix they have Arc 7 and they're holding Arc 7 quite well. So that's why they didn't tell us this before the fact, but they told us we needed to shift how we were doing, workshops and things. At one point, before the drama got to this level, we were supposed to go all over the place, several times a year. We'd have, major trips, and it was getting, I think, a bit expensive for everybody and a bit tiring, very exhausting. You don't even have time to even enjoy where you go because the trips are so often. But now we're going to come to Phoenix twice a year and do larger workshops where it's easier because we're not in transit packing suitcases every 3 days and that kind of thing. And hopefully, we'll be able to establish a pattern of having workshops at a civilized hour. Or if we're not, to at least know in advance so we can publish it. Yes, we'll have a workshop from midnight until 6 a.m. At least so you know, so you get to sleep during the day. This is one of my wishes that I really wish I could give to all of you and to us, because this isn't any easier on us than it is on you. But we're going to do Phoenix twice a year, and we'll be doing one major grid trip a year. And I think that will bring it into a more civilized way of functioning, because it was getting so intense. I think everybody's too tired, and it's also financially, expensive. That how are we going to maintain that pace in that way all the way through to 2017? I think I'll be dropping by 2008 if I have to keep that pace up. So this is going to be more civilized. It's going to be, I'm hoping that workshops can become more fun, because I would like to do that. I mean, I hardly got to see you guys this time because I'm, playing scribe up there, stuck on the computer. And then the information's important, and without it, there isn't a workshop to give. There's nothing to teach you. But it's frustrating when the information comes in while we're in the middle of workshop, while we're on the grids and on site. So what we'll be able to do with the Phoenix occasions is we'll be able to integrate. Like, there'll be a lot of things that we learned here, and there's going to be more coming while we're in Goa. More bits of information from the grids on, there's a whole set of things, the stuff on the seven-headed serpents and all that. I have a feeling I'm going to be getting some of that while we're there. That kind of information can be integrated into the next Phoenix workshop. And, it'll work like that. Whatever grid trips we go on, they may be a little, there might not be a lot of graphs like this time, but whatever information we get, it will be elaborated upon, if it's significant to the theme of the next workshop. So hopefully it will, the new rhythm, it's like we're adjusting a new rhythm to the new time wave that we're catching. And it's strange because it's a biological time wave too. I don't know if any of you have felt it, but sometimes there are some really strange days where either time's moving too fast or too slow, or it feels like you fell in a hole, like a pothole in time, as if it's not there. And then you kind of come back out 2 or 3 days later and go, what day is it? Right? Where did those 2 days go? Like, there was something that happened, I don't know if it was planetary, but in the European grids, somewhere around the January 1st, it was like January 1st didn't start till January 4th for some reason. It was just like we went from December 31st, and January 1st started on January 4th, and that few days period was just gone. And it's a very strange feeling. It's a time distortion. And they're going to talk to us more about time distortions as we go along, because we're just starting to learn the complexities, help us, of the time cycles and how they work. I showed you a little bit more on that, what they've showed me during, I think it was the second workshop. But there's a lot more technicals that if I can get through the technicals, even when they're, I don't want to drown people in technicals, because I know what it feels like to get drowned in technicals, where I just don't want to know anymore. I can't hold anymore. I just want to go to sleep and be a normal three-dimensional human being and pretend I don't know anything. Yeah, I get that way sometimes. It's not a possibility. It's not an option for me, but because you get to a certain point where you know certain things and you just can't go backward. You can't pretend you don't know. But the time distortion things are going to become, I think, more apparent as we move forward. And there's also some positive type of time distortions that have to do with dimensional blending in a positive way, and that has to do with visitations. This is something we don't talk about very often, because they haven't talked about very often. Throughout my childhood, I had experiences of direct contact, physical contact. Sometimes I was taken there, and sometimes they came here. And, well, they had to come here to get me. But it's been a long time since I've had the privilege. And I get homesick sometimes, because it's like, if you think you know it's there, it's different than when you know it's there. And when you know it's there, it's like being separated from family that you feel closer to the most people on the planet that you're living on. And I've always looked forward to the time, and I really didn't care how it happened, if I stay here until the body gives out and then I go that way, or ideally if we could all walk through a Stargate together, it would be great. But I've had this private wish that I could not only reestablish that very 3D connection, but also bring it to you guys. And I can't guarantee that, but they have said something. It's the first time that they've said that. Part of the work that we're doing and that we've done here is to open the Rama Temple network, the global network. This is the network that they partially opened in, I believe, 75,000 BC with the Inner Earth Rebellion, where they came down physically and participated in defending surface Earth from invasion and complete takeover by the Anu. They're opening them again because they're planning to come in again. And they wouldn't be planning to come in again if somebody else wasn't planning to come in too. So what this drama is going to look like, they haven't exactly said, because I don't think they know yet. They're kind of watching what the UIR are going to do. They're watching their policies on official denial versus official disclosure. And they are ready at this point. They're preparing to act in the event that the UIR try to stage something as far as letting contact be known in a way that they control. Because there's a good chance that they're going to need some of their beam ships on planet to be able to, closer to 2012, to be able to do some of the mechanics that they're still trying to do in the grids. And that means they're going to have to bring ships in, and they're going to get seen by people, right? So they have to come up with a story. So it's still on the board, kind of like they're not. It hasn't been decided by the UIR whether or not they're going to stage something on the outside. They're already covering things up. I mean, there's activity happening up here, particularly, I believe it's up in the Tibet border, isn't it, that most of the activity is happening in India? Yeah, to the point where, I mean, articles in the Indian paper highly suggest that the Indian government's aware of this, and that, at times there are escorted flights coming in, that India is being asked not to let the rest of the world or their own people know this, and they're in a kind of a quandary about it because they're used to being open with their public as far as, not holding back the truth, and the other superpowers are basically telling them, you need to shut up now that you know, So I don't know where that's going to go. But I do know that our guys are planning to come in. But first, they're also going to teach us how to move between the spaces. And that is what I think a lot of the training, KETHRADON 4 and beyond, is going to move into things we need to learn to do with our bodies and our minds and our emotional bodies that would allow us, should the opportunity arise, to be able to go through. Part of the training as we move on, I'm probably not till about 2006, I don't think, because they haven't given me exactly which part of the training is going to come in. They're going to teach us projection skills. They're going to teach us manifestation skills too. So that at some point, particularly as when pillar 1, 2, and 3 go, that means we have three-dimensional levels of the density 1 gates open. All right? That means you can get your physical, mental, and emotional body through as one package. In the meantime, we can play with gate 4 by projecting it out, and we'll probably do that. So I would imagine 2006, 2007, 2008, unless it gets really weird down here. If stuff starts to go, wacky, where the starburst cycles are getting rough because of whatever the UIR are throwing into the grids alongside of it, it may happen faster. They may give us the information faster. There was something that surprised me tonight with the technique that they gave. They weren't planning to go that far originally as far as the